Now in this video, I'm going to be showing you what to do with your dahlia tuber. Now you've got two options basically. If you want to get them started earlier, you can pot them up in a pot with some peat-free soil. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second, in March or April time, and leave them somewhere indoors under cover, somewhere really bright and sunny. Now a greenhouse is absolutely perfect, that's ideal. If you don't have a greenhouse, sunny windowsill would be just fine. Now the reason you want to do that is by starting them off early, they'll start to sprout earlier and will produce flowers slightly earlier. But whatever you do, don't plant your dahlia tubers out in your garden in March, because there will still be a threat of frost. And if there's one thing that dahlia tubers don't like, it's frost, and they don't like being wet and soggy because they will rot. So if you do decide to plant them early, plant them in a pot. You just fill the pot with a little bit of lovely peat-free soil that I've got there. This is your dahlia tuber. Some people are a bit like, oh, which way does it go, that way or that way? It goes this way. This is last year's stem. So that must be pointing up, and these are the tubers that gives the energy to the plant to grow. So I'm going to chuck it in a pot like that, and then cover your tuber with your peat-free soil. Like that. Now, one of the biggest reasons for dahlia failure is that people at this stage get very, very excited and want to see lots of things happening straight away, and they start to overwater them. Now, again, if you do that, they will rot because they prefer to be on the dahlia tubers prefer to be slightly on the drier side, so you won't need to water it every day. The soil just needs to be nice and moist. Once you've popped your dahlia tuber into a pot and covered it with soil, you then need to label it. Get my labels over here. It's a good one, this one, Bacardi. There we go. Whatever you do, don't use felt tip pen because that rubs off. Rookie mistake made very early on in my dahlia growing career. I wrote felt tip on it all and it all rubbed off. Stick the label in like that and pop it on a sunny windowsill or in your greenhouse, and when the soil gets to around 15 degrees you should see sprouts coming up pretty soon, which is very exciting. And then what you can do is, once it starts to grow a bit bigger, pop it out into the garden when the threat of frost has passed. So one of the other benefits of potting up your dahlia tubers in March, April time is that you can keep a really close eye on them, so that by the time you plant them out in the garden around June time, you can see that they're quite well established plants and they're much less susceptible to slugs and snails. If you can't be bothered with the potting up process and you don't want windowsills full of these bad boys, you can obviously just put the tuber directly out into the soil once the threat of frost in your area has passed. The only downside to that is that they are very susceptible to the dreaded slugs and snails. And a lot of people DM me and say, oh, my dahlias just didn't come up at all this year. And it's more likely that they did, and then the blasted slugs and snails got them. Because when those shoots are just starting to pop out of the ground, you might not even see them. That is when they are at their most tastiest. And that's when the slugs and snails will make a beeline for them. And that'll be it. They'll be eaten before you've even seen it. So there's also a lot of other vegetation usually in people's gardens overhanging the tuber. And if that happens, it's very, very difficult to spot when the shoots are starting to sprout and also whether they're being attacked or not. So if you are a newbie gardener, I would probably recommend going for the potting up process, because it means that you can keep a really close eye on them, guard them like a hawk, and by the time you put them out in the garden, they are strong enough, hopefully, to be able to survive a little bit of slug nibbling. Off I go to the greenhouse. Come on, Bacardi, off we go. Let's pop you in the greenhouse.